सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We are in the 8th mantra. Repeat after me if you can. असव्यो वसर्पति नीलग्रीवो विलोहितः उतैनं गोपा अदृशन् अदृशन् उदहार्यः उतैनं विश्वा भूतानि सदृष्टो मृडयातिनः। असव्यो वसर्पति नीलग्रीवो विलोहितः उतैनं गोपा अदृशन्नदृशन्नुदहार्यः उतैनं विश्वा भूतानि सदृष्टो मृडयातिनः। The 7th and the 8th mantra ये चेमागम अभितो रुद्रा अभितो दिक्षुश्रिता सहस्रशो वैशागम हेड ईमहे। दिक्षुश्रिताः हेड ईमहे। When we want to protect our house, we put a fence around it. So we cover ourselves, like envelope ourselves from all sides in a sense of security to protect oneself. Similarly, if there is, the kingdom is being attacked, that also gets surrounded from all sides by the enemy, by those who want to conquer that particular kingdom. Dikshushritaha, for the unintelligent one, the self-inflicting kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara and its products, its byproducts. They seem to be attacking us from all sides, which leads to heda, meaning misery. So the prayer here is that let me be protected by changing my vision so that I strengthen myself with the security, with the covering, avemahe, by this prayer, by this vision, to perceive that one Paramatma who has taken various forms. Now, when that perception dawns within, I do not look at the world as a threat anymore, because in every form is nothing but the form of that divinity Now I have the courage to see it from that perspective, and that very perspective brings in peace within. Avemahe. So the Surya as it rises, Bhagavan's Surya, that itself is a Pratyaksha Daiva. And that Pratyaksha Daiva is nothing other than that Paramatma, that Ishvara in this form. Now seeking that Paramatma or seeking the blessings of that Paramatma, Avemahe, so that I protect myself from all sides. Even in the Laghunyasa, Sarvataha Shambhuhu Tishtatu. After having invoked everything, every aspect of that divinity, Sarvataha, from all directions, may Shambhu protect me. So it is the same attitude or the same meaning that we were seeing yesterday. Now continuing, Asavyo vasarpati nilagrivo vilohitaha utainam gopa adrishan nadrishan nudaharyaha utainam vishwa bhutani sadrishto mridayatinaha. The truth is not complicated. To understand Paramatma or Paramatma Tattva and realize it is not complicated at all. What is complicated is us living as limited entity. Now as the sun, Sarpati, Avasarpati, Sarpana means a serpentile motion or a constant motion, a movement. That is why, because of that movement, the snakes are called Sarpa in Sanskrit, because of that movement. So the sun, which rises in the east, moves all the way to the west. Avasarpati. Asau Yaha. It is the same Bhagavan Shiva who is Nilagrivaha Vilohitaha. Nilagrivaha, Nilakantha, the one who has the blue necked one. Vilohitaha. Vilohitaha, he is actually Gauranga Sundara. Gauranga Sundara, he is Sphatika Rajata Iva. That the glowing hue of the crystal. Now, when did he become red? Vilohitaha, lohitaha means red. Vilohitaha, completely red. So the poets in their commentaries, in their poetic gesture, they say that when somebody is in their prime of their health, you would see that their face, they don't need to apply blush. Their cheeks and everything start glowing in a reddish color. Now for somebody who is white in color, for them even if it is a slight bit of reddish tint there, it starts glowing as red everywhere. So the Rishi here seems to have a keen eye for the colors and shades of Lord Shiva. Yesterday we saw Tamra, Aruna, Babruhu. Today he is describing most probably Tamra and Aruna together as Vilohitaha. So that beautiful form of Lord Shiva in the form of this sun. Uta enam, which can be seen, this can be seen. Enam, this, uta, even this can be seen. Gopaha adrishan. Gopaha, not that very intelligent, somebody who is very simple minded. Those who take their cows and sheep for grazing, those shepherds, even they can see this Paramatma. Udaharyaha api adrishan. Udaharyaha, udaka. Udaka means water. Haryaha, the one who is carrying. Today we live in such luxury, therefore we have lots of diabetes, lots of cholesterol, lots of triglycerides. Everything seems to be in imbalance. In those days, there was a common place for fetching water, and there would be certain times wherein the women folk would carry lots of pots. They would do this chores at least twice a day. Once for the morning cooking and everything, and once for the evening cooking and everything. So, in between they do not have this tap facility. Today we do not understand the blessings or the grandeur that we live in, that it is on and it is not turned off even if you are not using it. So, we do not really appreciate it. Imagine these ladies, they had to put all these different pots on their heads. Sometimes life is so difficult that they have to carry along with the pots a young toddler, because they cannot leave them home alone. So, that the young toddler will be tied to their waist and they will be carrying, and on one side they will have pots, and the head they will have another 3 layers of pots. And this is not a thermocol one which the dancers put on their head and do this. These are real pots, big ones. And sometimes they are heavy also, made of these copper or brass and things like that. They are heavy ones. And because of the regular practice of theirs, they were hale and hearty even in their old age. So, they would carry it, go haryaha, fetch that water, and to pass their time they would be singing all these folklores, and most of the folklores are around some great ideal or something from Ramayana, something from Hanumanji's life, something from Krishna Leela. They will be constantly singing Udaharyaha. So, usually in the evening times is one of the primary times wherein they go to fetch this water. So, even they, while fetching the water, they can see this Paramatma in the Pratyaksha form as Lord Surya. And Vilohitaha, the setting sun. Yesterday we saw the rising sun, who was Tamra, then Aruna, then Babruhu, and after that white glow of the sun, in the evening again mellows down and becomes with this red color. See, sometimes the poets have such amazing imagination. So, I was reading not that I had to read Tamil, but a translation of this on Kartikeya Vijaya. So, there the poet describes that the rising sun against the backdrop of a blue sky is like the Kartikeya flying with his peacock, which is bluish color, with his peacock, all its feathers in its glory. So, the poets have this amazing imagination. So, similarly here the Rishi, he is giving us the picture of the setting sun, and even that setting sun can be seen, perceived by these ladies. Now, if it were that easy, I said they see it, but they do not perceive it. Truth or that Paramatma, is that available everywhere, but do we see it? We do not perceive it. We see it, but yet we do not perceive it. We see the sun, but we do not perceive it as that divinity. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna, in the 10th chapter, he goes on giving various descriptions as to various formats that you can perceive in your day to day. In those forms in which he is readily available, but we don't see it. So whenever the shepherd or the lady is fetching the water, they see the setting sun, they say, "Chalo, jaldi chalo. You know, it's getting late. It will be dark soon. Before it is dark soon, we don't want to be trapped in this forest wherein we have come with our cows, sheep and goat. Before the last light goes off, let us hurry back home." So they are in that rush. So whenever they see that red sun setting, it is for them a rush hour. And what is the traffic? Their own cows. So various people, various shepherds going on to various parts of the forest nearby, come back. That's why that particular time also is called Godhuli. It's that time when all the hoofs of the cow starts raising the dust. So in that dust, when they are coming back, they see the setting sun. They see it, but they don't perceive that Paramatma there, because there is something else rushing them in. And definitely the women don't want to be trapped somewhere far away from their home after it gets dark. So they want to get, rush. So though they see it, they don't perceive it. Adrishan, they are seeing it, it is available. It is not that Paramatma is sitting somewhere in Kailasha that you have to go trek all the way. And by the time you go there, you are so tired that instead of seeing Kailasha, you are falling down as Lasha. One of our Swamiji used to say, if you come back, it is called Kailasa Darshana. If you don't come back, it is called Kailasha Darshana. We go all the way up there. You don't need to. It is readily available, pratyaksha. But though we see it, we don't perceive it. Uta enam vishva bhutani. Uta enam, this very, or even this, vishva bhutani, all beings see this Lord, but do they perceive it as Lord? We don't. But for the one who has understood it, saha drishtaha, when the Lord is seen, perceived, such one mridayati naha, such one is the one who is truly mridayati. Mridayati, the one who is actually happy. Those who can perceive it, that which you are constantly interacting with. And what are you interacting with? See, when you talk about Divya Drishti, our mind goes into all kinds of complicated things. Because when Arjuna was given that Divya Drishti in the battlefield, and in the 11th chapter he screams, wait, you are saying you are showing me all these things, I can't see it. So Bhagavan says, Divyam dadamite chakshuhu, I will give you this Divya chakshu. Is it like some eyewear? Where do I get it? Is it some kind of 3D glasses that I wear it and suddenly see everything, coherently, comprehensively I can see it? Once it happened, there was this family that I was living in. This was in Bombay. And most of their family was living in Singapore. And I was living in their family, and in their front room, living room, there was a center table, and there was a piece, a glass crystal cut piece on there. It was really exquisitely cut. So I looked at it, and not a very big one, a very small one, but very beautifully. So where did you procure this? Swamiji, we were walking in Singapore on the street. There some hawker was selling it. We liked it, we purchased it. So one of the persons who had come there to meet me while I was at their home, he was running a jewelry shop. So he comes into their house, sits, and he says, Swamiji, can I sit next to you? I said, yes. The people with whom you are living, are they like, stinking rich? I said, no, they are just middle class. Do you know that which is there? Do you know what it is? So I said, I don't know. It is diamond piece. Up until that moment, it was just a piece of some, showpiece. But what is it that took that person, the jeweler, to recognize it as a diamond? That is called the vision. Divya Drishti. And when we talk in Shastra Paribhasha, when we say the Pramakaranam or the Pramanam, Pramanam means Yathartha Jnanam. To understand the Vastu from its Vastu Swabhava. Ayathartha Jnanam, Mithya Jnanam. Not knowing what its essence is, we may not even know it, it may be just a trivial thing. But the moment our vision is changed, our drishti is changed, that which is in front of us, and that for which I have been running around all over the place, is right in front of me. So, yaha drishtaha, the one who sees it, saha mridayati. That one truly is the happy one. Now, even in a material sense, usually this happens in a rush hour, even at home. The same kind. Utainam gopa drishanna drishannudaharyaha. You are like frenetically searching for your car keys or your glasses. The last thing that you knew, that you were sitting in the living room and you had put it on the center table, now it is poached. And then you are like searching here, searching there, go into the bedroom, go into this, go there. Where is it? A frenetic wireless call booms out into the entire living room. Gopaha, Udaharyaha, a little kid in that family comes and, Dad, why are you screaming? Hey, you kids only, you don't leave things where it should be. Do you remember? It was not yesterday, but today in the morning you were reading newspaper. It is there in the dining table. Then it clicks. I had myself left it right there with the newspaper. You are also trying to see, but you are not perceiving it. Even a kid, he sees it and perceives it also. And the one who sees it and perceives it, mridayati, tension free. And the one who does not perceive it in spite of seeing it. That is why once when I asked a great Mahatma, I said, Mahatma ji, very rarely you come across Atmagnani, somebody who is realized. Now that I got this opportunity to be with you, can you explain in your own terms? Bhagavad Gita says this, Upanishad says this. It's not an Anubhava Vakya. Can you tell me your Anubhava Vakya as to what does it mean by realizing? So he said in a totally different perspective. He said realization is the most humbling feeling in the entire universe. I was a little confused because that kind of definition was never given. What do you mean that realization leads to humility, or what do you mean by that humility there? Then he gave this example. Supposing you are searching for your glasses which were right there on your nose, everywhere in the house. and somebody comes and points it that it is right there on your nose. And when you see that, you are able to clearly see everything because of its presence, and you are searching for that. You have forgot that it is right there on your nose. How do you feel at that moment when you see, when you come to know that your glasses, that which you are searching for, is right there on your nose and you are not able to see it, you are not able to grasp it? How do you feel? I said, pretty dumb. Because that experience is so immediate and we don't yet perceive it, doesn't it make you humble that you thought you knew everything, and that was, it was so obvious and you missed it all your life? How else would you feel? Mridayatinaha. Now this particular mantra has the same dhyana shloka as the earlier mantra. This particular mantra has the same dhyana shloka as earlier. So we are not going into that shloka again. Now that Bhagavan, who is Sarpati, there is a seeming movement of, a seeming perception of movement. But is there a movement in him? Now we say that sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But scientifically speaking, does the sun rise or set? Does the sun have these kinds of different colors, different shades, different orbs? It doesn't. Though not moving, appears avasarpati iva, appears as if there is this constant movement. And appearing as if constantly moving, the one who has complete control over all that which is actually moving, such Lord is the Nilagriva. Now, who is this Nilagriva? His very embodiment, his very form indicates the one who is readily, willingly available to protect all those who seek his blessings. There was this Mount Mandarachala, and that was put into the Kshira Sagara, and it was being churned in the Kshira Sagara. As it was being churned, they were holding, what was the churning rope? It was Vasuki. And the Danavas were holding the head side. And you can imagine the hold. As they were holding it tightly, Vasuki was spitting out its venom. And it mixed with this churning motion, and it started producing toxins. And it was impacting everybody who were there, Danavas and the Devas. One prayer from both of them. Bhagavan Vishnu said, I am busy. He was literally busy too, because he was the one who carried the Mandara mountain, he was the one who is holding that Mandara mountain steady. He said, Kripya pratiksha kijiye. You have to wait. I cannot readily help you. Brahmaji very clearly said, this is not my task. Instead, I suggest that the best person suitable for this task is our Shambhu. Go talk to him. One prayer. And the moment he sees that these many are in despair, he readily comes, gathers the entire poison, and anywhere you leave it, it is going to be hazardous. The hazardous toxins have to be disposed in a safe manner. So he thought for a while. Not that the thought that he spent was, should I drink it or not? The thought that he spent was, where is the safest place to dispose this? And then he balances it. It's an amazing yoga kriya wherein you swallow it, yet it does not go in. He just balances it in his kantha. Now Parvati ji knows that, Umaji knows that he is Paramatma himself. But that prema rasa at that moment, she runs and says, "Hey Natha," and she holds it. And right there where she holds, the blue color develops. Neelakantha. How is this, Lord? One prayer from us, that which is obviously visible everywhere, he makes it distinctly clear as an experience for that seeker. But do we pray? And if we call what we are doing as prayer, I am taking the logic the other side. If we call what we are doing as a prayer and we don't see him coming to give us this beautiful vision, the Vedas are not, the Shastras are not wrong. So where is the wrong? Somewhere in our own perception, in our own intensity of this prayer, we are lacking somewhere. Because our priority is not the prayer, our priority is one of the lists of the day. That yes, today also I have prayed. My job is done for the day. So for those who intensely pray, for such, the sun, which is the very Paramatma available for us to recognize, so much so that this was given as the very mantra for every child as young as 4-5-year-old to recognize this Surya as the very Ishvara of this entire Srishti, entire creation. So the moment we understand this truth, Mridayatinaha, meaning the truth that we are searching for is not somewhere. See, never have the Upanishads said that it is somewhere up there. The Upanishads have been clearly stating that it is right here, right now. It is as visible that even a Gwala is like the cowboy, Gopaha, cowboy. Even the cowboy can see it. This is one set of meaning. Sri Vishnu Suriji, he says that this entire world, when he says Utainam Vishwa Bhutani, that the entire creation is nothing but an expression of that Paramatma alone. But do we see it as the Paramatma's expression? We perceive the world from the maturity of where we are at this point. And our Sant Goswami Tulsidas ji says, somebody is kami, sees this world as an amazing place to fulfill lust. For somebody who is miserly, For them, it is a bountiful opportunity to make more and more of wealth. For somebody who is keen on whatever be the standpoint, we start seeing the world only from that perspective. Ask a person who is thoroughly beaten up by various experiences, he would say that this entire world is a miserable place to live in. I don't know why that God, if at all that God exists, why did he have to create such a miserable creation? For an artist, he says everything is such a beauty in expression. For a musician, everything is such a beautiful sound. You know, we say that if there is a train constantly going, such a disturbance. For a musician, he says, oh, that also has got a tala and a raga in it. So as is the maturity, that is how we perceive the world around. Enam Vishwa Bhutani, all this entire creation, do we see it as that Nilagriva? Do we see it as that Vilohita? Because the one who sees it is the one who is truly happy. Because the Upadhi in Ishvara is Maya. Actually, it is Parabrahma Paramatma. With the Upadhi of Maya, he becomes Ishvara. And with the Upadhi of, with the limitation of the Antakarana, the same Paramatma becomes you and me, the Jivatma. Remove the Upadhi. What is that Chaitanya Tattva. Did you understand this? I don't know, Swamiji. It was too technical. I'll make it very simple. Did you know that you did not understand this? What is this? A flower was with flowers. To be more specific, wild lilies. The only thing that smells in US that has a bit of fragrance in that. Rest of them only Akara Pushti. There is no Swarupa Lakshana in it. These are wild lilies. You understood that these are wild lilies? To know that I understood, to know that I did not understand, both of them are a knowing process. To know that I understood something, to know that I did not understand something, where are we focusing? We are at the level of the Upadhi. The knowing happens in the Buddhi, and being at that level, we are focusing constantly on did I understand, did I not understand, did I understand, did I not understand. Here the scripture is taking us beyond the understanding or lack of understanding to that concept, to that Chaitanya, which is illumining both the aspects of understanding or the lack of understanding. Swamiji, again, I understood everything except what you just said in the last 2 minutes. Upadhi Nirmula, there is only Shuddha Chaitanya. But since we are so thoroughly identified with that Upadhi, we are not able to see that Vilohita. And he goes to explain another beautiful aspect, that whenever something is beautiful, and in that beautiful thing there is one speck of blemish in it, where does our focus go? Into that blemish only, isn't it? You observe, this is not just for the adults, even as young as a child, when they lose one tooth. They have the other set of teeth, but where is the tongue constantly focusing? That where there is a lack, that is where it is focusing. That is what is given in the example, right? Half empty or half full. But I was blown apart. Once I was telling this in our Balvihar class, maybe 6th, 7th grade. And the kid listened to it and I said, your whole example is wrong. I said, I have been giving this example for 15, 20 years. Now what is wrong in this? He said, instead of putting the milk in a big glass and then talking about, be satisfied with a half glass empty or half glass full, you just put it in the right size of glass, it is always full. Perfect. So I prayed instantly for that kid. Maintain this clarity and you will be the most happy person in the life. That is the perspective that we miss. We constantly focus on the lack. So the entire Akara, entire Shivatva is Gauranga Sundara, glowing with that Vilohita, reddish hue. Where is our focus? Nilagriva. Instead of looking at it as the beauty of that Shiva, we have been caught up in that darkness. So he says, Upadhi Nirmulatvat, when we remove that Upadhi, the identification with the Upadhi, what remains is that Shuddha Chaitanya alone. That when we understand, Sahayeva Mridayati, that one alone really is the one who is joyful, peaceful and in harmony with everything around. So thus having prayed in these two mantras, 7th and 8th, moving to the next mantra. So in the next mantra it is said, repeat after me. Namo astu Neelagrivaya Sahasrakshaya Midushe Athoye Asya Satvanoham Tebhyo Akaran Namaha. For the ease of reading it, I am breaking it and reading it. It is not a print mistake. So I am doing the Sandhi Vicheda. Namo astu Neelagrivaya Sahasrakshaya Midushe Athoye Asya Sattva Noham Tebhyo Karan Namaha. To that very Neelagriva, to that very Lord Neelakantha, Sahasrakshaya, Sahasrakshaya, the one who has thousands of eyes. Did you count? It does not mean that he is limited just by 1,000 eyes. 1,000, 100, when these numbers are used in our scriptures, it just shows to indicate the infinitude nature of Paramatma. So Sahasraksha means the one who is able to view everything, or like Purusha Sukta says, Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva. Sahasraksha means there are infinite number of creatures. Amongst all these creatures, the vision, who is seeing actually, who is actually perceiving? is that Paramatma alone. Sahasrakshaya Midushe, Midushe, the one who showers grace and blessings unasked for. Remember, he is showering the grace and blessings even before we ask for it. What a benevolent person. We usually say that I will give you this only if. Even in as close a relationship as between the spouse, between the parents and children, there is always this if. I am ready to shower all this, provided if. Bhagwan is not like that. He says, Midushe. I will shower in spite of. So his grace and blessings are always there. Seriously, why don't I feel it? That is your problem, not his problem. So this kid was bragging, Swamiji, I also wake up as soon as the first ray of sun hits my window. So the sister says, you also should tell him that your room is facing west. See, when the sun rises and we keep complaining that it is dark, it is dark, it is dark, open the windows. That much you should do. To expect that the Lord will come and he will only open all the blinds and say, Beta uto. No, you will have to put that effort. He is showering his grace, Midushe. Without even being asked for it, he is showering it. Namo astu. Prostrations and salutations unto that Sahasraksha, unto that Nilakantha Bhagavan, who is Ashutosha, who is readily showering all grace and blessings on everybody, whether you ask for it or not. To such one, my salutations. Atha u, furthermore, atha u, furthermore, ye asya, ye who are asya of this Lord, satvanaha, satvanaha, all the paricharakas, paricharakas are the attendants, the servants of the Lord, those who are serving the Lord. Tebhyaha api, unto them also, akaran, akaran, I am doing namaha, my salutations unto them. So my salutations to that Lord who showers his blessings and grace. That words got mixed. Instead of grace and blessings, I came out as blaze. So it is grace and blessings he showers, and not just to him, but all to those who serve him also, my salutations. Now this particular mantra has this dhyana shloka. The rishi is Shambhu Rishi, and the chanda is Trishtup Chanda, and the devata is also Shambhu. Both the rishi and the devata, both of them are same. So he became the rishi and then he wrote a dhyana shloka on himself. Sometimes what happens, when the mantra or the mantra drashtaraha is not known, it is okay to assume, because all this has come from the Lord, that he is the prathama rishi. So in absence of a rishi, we always place the Lord himself. So he is the Lord and he is the rishi, drashtaraha of that mantra as well. Sharas Chandra Prakashena वपुषा शीतलद्युतितं ध्यायेत् सिंहासनासीनम् उमया सहितं शिवम्. Dhyayet, we meditate upon that Shiva who is Simhasana Asinam. He is sitting on the throne. And how is that throne? Our Adi Shankaracharya ji describes it in the Shiva Manasa Puja. Ratnai Kalpitam Asanam. Such a beautiful throne, exquisitely carved in gold, studded with all precious stones, very comfortable to seat. And in such asana, Umaya Sahitam Shivam, he is sitting with his other half, who is Uma Parvati. And how is he? He says, Sharat Chandra Prakashena Vapusha Sheetala Dyutim. He is glowing like Sharat Chandra. A beautiful name, Sharat Chandra. That Chandra which is in the Sharat Rutu. How is this Sharat Chandra? He is the most, at that particular season, he is the most illumining or bright, and not just bright, he has this little hue or shade of pinkish or reddishness to it. If you observe in that particular season, that he has this beautiful glow with this reddish tint to it. Sharat Chandra Prakashena, it is like that Prakasha of that Sharat Chandra. And how is that Prakasha? It is not like the sun's radiance, because sun's radiance you cannot look into that sun. We used to try this. Who looks into the sun for the longest time? It will blind you. Not permanently, thank goodness, or else you would not have attempted it. Then when you look at that sun and then you take your eyes off and then start seeing everything is black, darkened. You look at the moon as long as you can look. And that is why he is the favorite of all the poets. Chaudhvi ka chand. I am not going to sing, I will only be he is the favorite. Why? Sheetala Dyutim. It is a very pleasing, very comforting, cooling glow. With that kind of a glow and radiance, he is sitting with Uma Parvati. Now, with this particular mantra, the 9th mantra, with this dhyana shloka, as a Sakama Puja, when it is incessantly chanted for a long period, the period of time is not described, as long as the results come in. Until then, those who chant this particular mantra with this dhyana shloka, the mantra phala is that they are blessed with a progeny. Putra phala. Putra phala means the son will be blessed. That is the blessings of this particular mantra as the Sakama Puja. Now, getting back to the mantra as such. Namo astu nilagrivaaya sahasrakshaya midushe atho ye asya sattva noham tebhyo karan namaha. Many salutations to this Lord who is adorned with this nilagriva, blue neck, who has thousands of eyes, who literally bestows upon all his devotees the desired blessings and grace constantly. And I also prostrate to all these various servants who serve the Lord, my salutations unto them as well. Now going into dwelling deeper into the meaning, Purusha Sukta and various other sacred chants talk about this constantly. Purusha Sukta, Narayana Sukta, Mahanarayana Upanishad, all these constantly talk about this particular aspect. So when they say that Paramatma is Sahasrakshaha, again in the Balvihar class when I was explaining Sahasraksha, Sahasrapat, that he has thousands of hands, thousands of legs. So one kid giggles to himself. Does it mean like Paramatma is like the centipede or the millipede? With all those. No, it does not mean that. It means that all the eyes that can see, the actual seer is because of that conscious principle. Therefore, he is called Sahasrakshaha. Here, Bhattabhaskara, he explains it more beautifully. He says that the devotee can be rest assured that whatever are the prayers offered, they shall not go unnoticed, because he sees everything. So, even with a little effort if we pray, it does not go unnoticed. He has this keen observing nature, because he is the very Sakshi of the entire universe. Sahasrakshaha. Now, as we were talking in the last mantra, that the Jnana and Ajnana, perception or the absence of this perception, happens because of that illumining factor. The same thought continued in this particular mantra as the Sahasrakshaha. Midushe Namaha. Nilagriva is already explained, so I am not dwelling deeper into that particular part. So, Midushe Namaha. Midushe Namaha, the one who constantly showers, constantly blesses, unto him Namaha Astu. My salutations unto him. Now, when the Lord constantly showers his blessings, does he have a pre-qualification? That when you do such and such and such things, that is when you will be blessed or you will be showered with his grace? Now, the moment God is given such kind of a stature, then he becomes partial. The moment partiality comes into picture, then he has stooped down to any politician, to the level of any politician, rather than being the Ishvara. So, he is the one who showers his grace constantly on everybody. Like for example, all the Indians who still do the Sandhya Vandana, all the Hindu who do the Sandhya Vandana, does the sun God say that these are the people who constantly worship me? I should bless them with a special race. And the rest of the world who does not even recognize my presence, I will send them the Tikshna, something very sharp. Nothing like that. His grace is always there. We just have to open our eyes. We just have to open our doors. So, Paramatma and his presence is always there. That is not the difficult part. What is the difficult part is to open our eyes, is to open our doors. Why is it so difficult to open these doors? Because our heart is filled with, our minds are filled with so much of unnecessary trash that there is no room to open it up for somebody to come in. Sometimes when I go to the universities, the lecture is usually somewhere around the dorms area. So sometimes I loan them my book, and one day this guy forgot my book. I said, Swamiji, I'll get it. I said, I have to anyway walk out, so I'll walk through your dorm, pick the book and walk back. So he gets to the dorm, opens it, and he says, stand here. He quickly opens it and quickly jumps inside, shuts it, close. After a few minutes, he jumps out again, locks it. I said, Swamiji, your book. And I had a big grin on my face. Why? Because it is so trashed out that you don't feel like welcoming anybody in. Similarly, our mind and heart, filled with so many unnecessary things. In fact, the Lord has done us a favor even there. The mind and intellect which is created has been created through the most pure, sattvic aspect of the Panchamahabhutas. So it is not the manufacturer's defect. What today was created like this? No, we were created with the most sattvic principle. But in that sattvic principle, what have we stored? See, the bag in which you store, if all the unnecessary content has been stored, the bag gets contaminated. Remember, I used to give this example that when you have these brand name bags, handbags, the first time this was way back 10 years ago. First time I was walking in Miami streets, downtown area, and I read. My habit was just to get familiar, I used to read out loud. I just blurted out verses. And all the Yuva Kendra kids who were there around me and Balavihar kids who were there, they looked at me and laughed. And they of course corrected me also. They said, Swamiji, it is not verses, it is Versace. Who knows how to, you come from an Indian mind wherein you say the San Jose is San Jose. The best part was, when I come into this country, I realized that I have been all my life pronouncing it wrong. Kinkinati. Cincinati. Kinkinati. So then I was corrected again. So this also was corrected. So one of these brand names that you gather, they say they are forbiddingly very pricey, right? What, $500-600 easily? Okay. What? 2,000? Okay. 3,000. I stand corrected. It is in thousands. Okay. I was being very naive. Okay, I stand corrected. $2,000-3,000. That's the minimum. Oh wow. There are higher also. Okay. And the best part is somebody gifted you that on your birthday, anniversary, whenever it was. What is that? I mean, the one who is around, probably their peace of mind is gone, and the one who is owning it, there is that thrill, the joy. And you tag along and come to the, some puja or some vrata somewhere, Satyanarayan Katha and something, and they give the prasad, the banana or whatever, and put it in that bag. While putting it, you are having a second thought, should I? Is it even worth putting in this bag? But anyway, it had nothing else, it was Bhagwan's prasad, you put it inside. And you left it in your car, Texas weather, you left it in car. It is supposed to be winter now, and it is what, today 70? Yesterday was 70. You left it in that weather, climate. You went for a couple of hours, came back, and you have a natural aroma in your car of a stinking banana. That is when you say, the banana was also telling, na na na. And then you go home, what do? Do you throw the bag? Huh? No. So you empty the content, clean it up, aerate it, dry it, whatever it takes to get the stench out. Right? Similarly, Bhagavan has given his first grace was quite visible, that the entire Antahkarana is the most sattvic thing that he has given. And in that sattvic thing, what are we storing? All kinds of kachada. It reminds me of 20 years ago, when I used to go from the ashram in Vijayawada to the temple where my discourses were. Especially the morning talks was the most entertaining one. Not my talks, but the experience while walking to that. So one day I saw these two kids fighting. So I was like a dharmatma, I was standing there, I said, "Chalo, stop fighting." And I separated them. So they were very unkempt and you could smell. I said, "What do you guys do? Why are you fighting?" So this kid says that this area of trash is mine and his ilaka starts there. Before I could come, he was picking on my trash. And because he was picking on my trash, we were having a fight. So it went immediately into my lecture, right from that day. That we are also like that. Like the India, they have these kabaddi walas, the rags and plastic and paper they gather and then they separate it out and they sell it. So these kids were gathering it to make some money. We are also like that. We have our own ilaka of trash and constantly keep gathering it. And the best part is we keep securing it. And on the top of it, compare. Now I have this much of trash. You don't even have this much. So somebody was asking me about some actor or actress. I don't know. Swamiji, you are outdated. I said, I'm glad I'm outdated. Because all these doesn't matter. But we are constantly focused only on this and filling that heart. There is no room to even open that door. That is the difficult part. Paramatma with his grace is already available. We are not available for that Paramatma. So Midushe Namaha is that seeker's prayer who has started emptying the heart out. That Lord, my salutations unto you, that now I have cleaned myself up, please come. The heart which is your seat, I had filled with a lot of trash. I have emptied that Simhasana. Now you come and please occupy the seat. May your blessings and grace be showered constantly. That is the invitation from the seeker. The seeker is not sitting there crying, Maili chadar od ke aau kaise tere dwar. Dho ke aao. Clean it up. Now this Nilagriva Sahasraksha can also mean that Lord, as Vishnu Suri puts it, who will miss nothing. He is constantly watching, meaning there is no unfairness in his vision. That we keep crying, right, many times. I did so much of puja, so much of vrata, so much of this. I don't know, I am never blessed. Because blessings can work in many ways. There is one story, I had not seen it in Bhagavat or various other main scriptures, but there was some Kathakar, he was telling this. He said that after the entire Mahabharata war was done, Krishna was going around blessing various devotees. There was this poor Brahmin, and Bhagavan Krishna goes there. Brahmin is so ecstatic, and he had just one cow. So he milks that cow and gives that fresh milk to the Lord, and the Lord says, may you be blessed. As they are stepping out, the cow dies. Arjuna observes this. As he is going the next devotee's house, he was already filthy rich. And Bhagavan says, may you be blessed, and there is such huge amounts of wealth that just expands. Now Arjuna is thinking, what kind of Lord is this fellow? That poor Brahmin had only one cow to survive on, even that got killed. And this fellow who is thriving here is getting more and more of this wealth. Lord, what kind of blessing is this? I demand an explanation. The Lord does not need to get down to our level to answer our demands, but because it was Arjuna, he says, the only thing that was stopping him from moving forward in his spiritual unfoldment was this cow. Now that that cow has been removed, he will straight come to me without any hindrance. But whereas the other fellow, he has tremendous still vasana for this wealth, unless it gets disgusted with that wealth, it is not going to be easy for him to move to the next step. So Bhagavan's blessings, you pray, he will definitely bless. Blessing in such a way that it takes us closer to him. This is what captured in a very beautiful sentence that Gurudev says, Lord gives that which we deserve, not what we desire. And who understands it better? The Lord understands. See, with our own children, they demand. I need more TV time. I need more games. I need my Xbox. I need my Nintendo. I need my that. I need my this. As parents, what do? If they get into all these things, lots of distraction. Weekends, 1 hour TV. Rest of the time, no TV. Weekdays, maybe for 20 minutes you will get your game box. What a cruel parent. Does not allow the child to enjoy at all. Is it the cruelty? And the kids don't mind it, they say it out loud here. Mom, Dad, I hate you. In spite of that, do you still not shower your love onto that kid? And how is that love showered? With what he deserves rather than what he desires. When we mortals with our own kids, we are this way. We call the Lord, Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva. If you observe in the congregation, when we chant this particular shloka, rest of the shlokas, the only loud part is Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. But this one shloka, everybody chants it out louder than the rest of the shlokas. Everybody knows this shloka. But do we feel, do we have the bhava that Paramatma is really the father, the mother, the everything that we are? And if he is the father and mother, would he give us anything which is not worthy of our experience? Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, however we brand it. Because Midushe Namaha, he constantly showers that blessings. Now coming to the last word, Sattvanam, all the Bhritya Paricharaka, all the servants of the Lord. In Pandharpur, there are, even today devotees go, there was this one time frame wherein there were lots of these great Mahatmas. Now all these Mahatmas, their request was, the entrance to the temple, the steps, that they be, buried. That word was not coming. They be buried, and on that steps, let the devotees walk. These Mahatmas, they not construct a special samadhi for them, but then buried and steps constructed on them, so that the dust of the devotees when they walk up and down will be constantly on them. And even today when people go there, not just Pandharpur, various temples, the dust of the temple, the steps there, we touch it and put it on our forehead. Not just that the Lord is worship worthy, that anybody who is worshipping that Lord is equally worship worthy. And this you see even in the Gurudwaras. In Gurudwaras they don't have a deity. The Grantha itself is their deity. And the entire, the Japji Sahib, when they chant, one of the striking words there, Japji Sahib, you may know it, Ek Onkar, Karta Purakh. There, one of the striking words is Guru Prasad. When they talk about that Guru Prasad, that this entire scripture that they are worshipping is the very blessings of the Guru. And anybody who is worshipping that, the kind of services that they offer, and their attitude is not that they are offering the service to human beings. Their attitude is they are offering the service to all those who are serving the Lord as the very Lord. So Gurudwaras are known for langar. Langar, free food. And when I say free food, it is not, anyway it is free, do whatever and then feed. No. One of the most tastiest foods. And their prasad that you get, the halwa that you get, you have to actually have a vessel underneath after they put it in your hand, because it is dripping ghee. I know you are all cholesterol watchers, you will say, ghee? The point that I was trying to mention was, it is that kind of best of the food ingredients that are offered, that anybody in that city, anybody in that vicinity does not have food at their home, they can freely come and eat. Why? Because anybody who is the servant of that Lord needs to be worshipped with that attitude that you are serving that Lord in this form, which is what is captured by Gurudev also in the pledge. Serving the humanity is the service to the Lord of Lords. Service to the nation is the service of the Lord of Lords. So Sattvanam, those who are serving the Lord, unto them also my prostrations and salutations. Now going into a totally different dimension of meaning, that our salutations are to this Nilagriva. That Nilagriva who blesses us by taking the form, by assuming the form of Sahasraksha. Sahasraksha, it also can mean Indra. Indra has 1,000 eyes. Sahasraksha. Now, assuming that form of Indra, he drenches, he rains forth on the entire earth, that thereby making it fertile. And the Lord himself becomes the seed of scope for every plant, fruit, animal, being to be born. And who are these Sattvanam? These Sattvanam are the Pramatha Gana. Who are these Pramatha Ganas? So the beauty of the meaning changes when you compare it with the reference of Bhagavad Gita shloka, wherein it is said, Yajnat bhavati parjanyaha, yajnah karma samudbhavam, karma brahmodbhavam viddhi, brahmakshara samudbhavam. So in that particular shloka, when it is said, Gurudev explains it very beautifully. He says, Yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. When all the actions and interactions are done with the yajna bhava, it is then alone that it rains forth as results that which you are focusing to get. As a seeker, what is the result that we are anticipating from this yajna bhava karma? Antahkarana shuddhi. Now when this antahkarana shuddhi happens, this purified antahkarana is the seat, is the garbha, is the womb for realizing the truth. Without having this antahkarana shuddhi, we will not be blessed by the rains of that Satchidananda Paramatma in our own heart. Now the same is true, or the same can be continued with the logic that who are these Pramatha Ganas, the Sevakas, are our own Indriyas. Now thanking the Indriyas that instead of getting extrovert and losing all the energy and vitality out there into the world, they have also supported and helped us in turning within. And in turning within, those energies have been directed and rechannelized for acquiring that antahkarana shuddhi. Once that antahkarana shuddhi is acquired, then it rains forth as a realization of that Paramatma within here. I mean, this is from the sadhaka seeker standpoint. Now even at a materialistic level, when all these Pramatha Ganas, the Indriyas and the Sevakas, focus all their energy together without wasting it here and there, and then with that focused energy apply it into one particular field with that intensity and intention of purity, when that even the action delivered, you don't need to wait till the result of the action. When that kind of an intense action is performed, satisfaction is immediate. Like example, for past what? 1.5 months, I mean, they've been preparing for this event yesterday's event for over 1.5 years, but last 1.5 months was the most intense ones. And before even the people could get onto the stage and congratulate all the artists and everybody, so I went and asked them, how do you feel? The immediate response was, we are very satisfied. You don't even need to wait for the result to get in. Just the delivery of that particular action with that intensity and focus itself is sufficient. It gives you immense satisfaction. And then what to talk about its result as it fructifies. It will only give joy. This is at the Vyashti. At a Samashti level, when all of us come together and put the same kind of effort, all these devatas come together, all these sevakas of that Paramatma come together and put one channelized effort, the result of it will be that satisfying and that joyous. Sahasrakshaya Midushe. And Sattvanam Pate, this whole meaning gets changed. This changed perception or the meaning is given in the Skanda Deva Bhashya. Skanda Deva Bhashya of Rudram. He gives an amazing perspective. The rest of the mantras, he was similar to the rest of the mantras, but this one was outstanding, the way he brings in this amazing interpretation. Okay, let us stop here. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ।